and welcome to my channel. This is the channel which I help aspiring and practicing project managers to succeed. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the 6th episode of the lessons that I've learned in my career as a project manager for the last 23 years, where I was able to successfully implement 15 projects. So in this section of the video, we're going to look at the lessons learned from a team leadership and motivation. So let's get started. Lesson number 65. Team dynamics can impact the success of the project. You're a project manager and you have team members that are helping you to run the project. They're actually the ones who are executing the project. Team members can come from different parts of the world. In one of my projects 4 years ago, I had 9 nationals, which means I had 9 nationals from different parts of the world. So what it meant is these nationals, they are bringing in different cultures of working, different cultures of coming to office, different cultures of achieving results. So you'll find there's always a misunderstanding here and there between the teams or the interaction. What do we mean by team dynamics? Team dynamics normally refers to the way the teams interact within the project. So as a project manager, you should facilitate that interaction. If you don't do that, it will be very difficult to drive the project in the right direction. So team dynamics is very important. It can also impact the progress of the project. So make sure that all the teams, they are working in the same direction. They are pulling in the same direction. The team is also working with the same objectives and goals of the project. In a project, that makes the project very smooth in terms of moving forward. Lesson number 66. Celebrate success. I cannot overemphasize this. Success must be celebrated, even small wins. Make sure you're celebrating. That can also help to motivate the team. You know, the moment the team is able to see that last month or last week we were here, this week we've moved up to this point, and this is what we've achieved. That enough can drive the motivation of the team and can also help the success of the project. So as a project manager, always make sure that you celebrate those wins. I've been celebrating my wins, even the small ones. In some cases, some of my project members would actually ask me, why are we celebrating something minor like this? I used to tell them, this is important. It's an achievement. It's a milestone in a project. So we should celebrate it. And then at the end of the day, I could see that the team was getting motivated. The team was appreciating the progress in the project. It is critical as a project manager to make sure that you always celebrate success in a project. You have enjoyed this video so far. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button so that you are the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. Lesson number 67. Always make sure that you establish clear roles and responsibility. This is a very important point. This is a very important point in a project. Of course, contractually, there were some specific roles and responsibilities that were assigned to each and every party in the project. But from my experience, as you progress with the project, you will realize that there are certain roles and responsibilities you have either to share amongst the team members, or you might also need to reassign to some of these team members. So roles and responsibilities should be very clear. A project has got stages, it has got phases. So if a project has got phases, each and every phase has got different roles, it has got different responsibilities. So as a project manager, you should always make sure that the roles and responsibilities are very clear. It could be the roles and responsibilities to the vendor, it could be to a contractor, to a supplier, or any of the stakeholders in the project. Make sure that is very clear and well documented. The best way to make sure they're clear and understood is to document them. So roles and responsibilities in a project should always be clear and communicated either in advance or during some proceedings or meetings or during the phase of the project. That can help the project to achieve its objectives because the team members, they're quite sure on what they're supposed to work on. They're quite sure on what they're supposed to achieve. So that is very important for a project to be successful. Lesson number 68. Always build trust within the team and also with any of the stakeholders in the project. That is very good and important for the interaction. So if people or if project members, they can trust each other, if stakeholders can trust each other, then that is very critical for the success of the project. I was in a project where I was supposed to be making sure that my organization was also quite happy in terms of profitability of the project. And also the client was also happy because they were also spending in the project. So I had to work very hard to make sure that I get trust from both sides. Why? Because from my end, which is my organization, I was able to convince, for example, if some payments are delayed, I could convince them to be patient as I negotiate with the client. But because they were trusting me, they could wait. I also go to the client if there's something that is not being served from our end as an organization or some delays in the project activities. I could also negotiate with them so that they do not penalize our organization. So building trust amongst the project members and also all the stakeholders, it helps the project progress smoothly. So as a project manager, you should always cultivate this idea of building trust amongst all the project members. I've done it from my end. You should be able to do it from your end. And that is why I'm sharing with you this particular lesson. It's quite important. You need to build the trust amongst all project members and also the stakeholders. Lesson number 69. You should empower your teams. What do you mean by empower? You're a project manager. You're sitting here. You have a number of people working under you, and you are responsible to deliver the project. There are certain cases where you have to make sure that you don't interfere. Allow your teams to make decisions. Allow your teams to plan. Of course, you can verify on the plans, proposed decisions, and so on and so forth. But give them power. You have to make sure you empower them to make decisions on behalf of you and also on behalf of the project for the benefit of the project. That is very critical. I normally do that in my project. I normally create what I call work streams. Each and every project that I manage, I put work streams. For each work streams, I put work stream leaders. The advantage of putting work stream leaders is when you're not available, they can help to push the project activities. I also empower them to make some decisions. If the certain decisions are too big for them, then or if they're too major for them, then they can come to me and then I can take it from there. So you should always make sure that as a project manager, the lesson that I've picked, always you make sure you empower your team either to make decisions, to progress, or even you can allow your team to progress without so much interference from your office. Lesson number 70. Always maintain a positive attitude in the project. That can save the project. Having a positive attitude, even when things are thick, even when things are not moving, even when things are looking like you're almost stopping, project activities are challenging, there's too much pressure, especially on the time, on the cost, the budget, and so on and so forth. You should always maintain a positive attitude. If you can do that as a project manager, it will be very easy for the rest of the team members to follow, and also that is going to be very good for progress of the project. So a project manager, you should always maintain a positive attitude in the team, even if when things are thick, even if when there's too much pressure, you should always do that. That is critical for the project success. Lesson number 71. As a project manager, you should always create a culture of accountability in the project. What do we mean by that? The team should be responsible for the activities and the actions they are performing in the project. If you don't do that, you always face a challenge that some project activities, they are delayed. Some reports you were expecting, they will never be submitted. In terms of project progress, overall, you face challenges. In terms of team interaction, you always face challenges. So as a project manager, you must make sure that there's accountability in the project. Remember in my previous lesson that I've shared with you, I told you about the interaction of workstream leads. So that also gives them authority in a specific workstream. Assuming, for example, it's construction, those who are responsible for roofing, you put a specific workstream lead for that. Assuming it's software, those who are responsible for acquisition of hardware and software, you put a workstream lead there. It gives them some sense of accountability, and that can also help the project because there's someone who is overlooking the activities in your absence. So building a culture of accountability in a project is key to the success of the project. Lesson number 72. Always build a cross-functional team. The advantage of doing that, for example, you want to be brainstorming or there's a problem to be resolved. When you infuse different diverse skills and also different diverse functions of the team, you'll find that resolution of that problem or even brainstorming of that problem or decision on any challenges that you're facing in the project, there's someone who is looking at it from a different angle. For example, it's a technical problem. There could be some finance guy who does not know anything about technical issues, but the questions that will be coming from that finance guy can help the technical guys to rethink their solution, because the finance guy is asking from a layman point of view, from a basic understanding point of view. The same also happens if it's a financial issue. You have an engineer who is asking basic questions, just trying to understand what is the problem, what is the challenge, and also trying to see if they can contribute to the resolution of the problem or the decision or the brainstorming that could be ongoing at that particular point. So always make sure that you have a diverse, always make sure that you have cross-functional teams. I've been running one of the projects in a bank, and we had a number of them, cross-functional teams. You have people from finance, people from trade finance, you have people from data migration, you have people from integrations or channels, you also have people from hardware and software. All these, we're putting them together. And it was very critical for the project. We're able to move and also we're able to close the project successfully. Lesson number 73. Always encourage innovation. Allow people to come up with ideas, new ideas, or even refined ideas, and then you should be ready to accept them. The advantage of doing that to the project is the new ideas might even make the efforts or even the contribution better, and also the outcome, which is the deliverable or the product, better. So as a project manager, you should always encourage innovation. How do you encourage innovation? If you put your project resources into specific work streams, they focus on that, they specialize on that, their innovation or some experience after running the project for 2, 3, 4 months, you'll find that even their innovation, the way they're coming up with new ways of resolving issues, the way they're coming up with new ways of making sure they also deliver. If you discourage innovation in a project, it will be very difficult for new ideas to come in that could speed up some of the activities that you are also implementing in the project. So that is very important as a project manager. You should always encourage innovation within the project, within the team members, at all times. Lesson number 74. Always trust your team's expertise. This is very important. A project manager is not a know-it-all person. A project manager is a leader. You are leading a team of members. So when you're leading a team of members, you cannot know everything. You cannot know everything that is happening in the project, especially when it comes to specialized areas. So you should always trust the expertise of your team. If there's a problem, you bring them together, whether it's online call, meeting, or physical call or meeting. Make sure you bring them together, allow them to brainstorm, listen to those who are specialized in that area. My approach is, each time I'm running any IT-related project, I always make sure that I listen to the IT guys, because I don't want to have any technical debt in future. If the IT guys, they realize that you don't listen to them, they'll just keep quiet. Then you find maybe towards the end of the project, or when you're about to close the project, there's a technical problem. They are going to remind you that we told you, you didn't listen. So always respect and listen to the expertise of your team members. That is very crucial for the project, especially where you don't have deep expertise. Listen to those who know. Of course, you can be interrogating, asking specific decision, asking why they decided to take a certain route, and so on and so forth. But always respect the expertise from those who are specialized. Some they want to call them subject matter experts. Listen to your subject matter experts, their advice, their guidance. They normally know more and better than the project manager. Lesson number 75. Always assign ownership, not tasks. Most project managers, they make that mistake. They assign tasks to people, but there's no ownership, which means what has to be done, it has been defined. When it has to be done, it has been defined, but there is no ownership. So projects are always delivered through ownership. I can tell you from my experience. If you don't give project members ownership, it will be very difficult to deliver that project. Any task is supposed to be done in 2 days or 3 days. No one owns it. So at the end of the day, it will never be delivered. So as a project manager, the lesson that I've learned, which I'm sharing with you, always assign ownership more than tasks. If you give someone ownership, they're even able to break down a bigger or complex task into small ones and be able to deliver. But if you don't give ownership, people will not be even innovative. People will not be even innovative or creative just to make sure that the project is successful. So always make sure you are assigning ownership, not tasks. As a project manager, that is the lesson that I've learned and I'm sharing with you. Lesson number 76. You should always have a blame-free problem solving. What do we mean by that? If there's a problem, don't try to go for finger pointing. That is the biggest mistakes most project managers do. Even me, during my first stages or my early stages in project management career, I thought if you blame someone, you put them under pressure, that is how you are supposed to get solutions. I learned my lessons. I realized later that if you put people together to analyze, to brainstorm a problem without finger pointing, without blaming anyone, you have a chance of getting a better solution than to go there blaming someone, because people take positions, defensive positions. No one is going to accept any wrongdoing. And by doing that, you will never fully understand the problem. You will never fully resolve the problem. Always make sure that you have a blame-free problem-solving scenario. Don't blame anyone, don't finger point. Focus on the issue at hand, focus on the solution, and make sure that everyone is engaged and contributing. If you do that, like I've done it in my past, you'll find you come up with a better solution than to go in and start finger pointing to someone, to a contractor, to a vendor, to a leader, or to whoever. That is very dangerous for the project. It will affect the project progress, and people will go into their shells. Each and every time you try to get anything from them, they're always defensive. Make sure you create that environment. If you want me to create any additional videos based on the lessons that we have discussed earlier, or you have got any specific questions or any clarification you might need based on this video, let me know in the comment section below.